The horizon bleeds red, a wound torn open by the sun. A girl hangs upside down from an oak, her body swaying like a pendulum in the dawn's cruel light. Blood crusts in her dark hair, catching the glow like embers in ash. A sign dangles from her neck, scrawled in jagged letters. Witch. Thief. The wind hums low, a hymn of dust and bone, curling through the empty streets of this frontier town. Hooves clatter. A cart creaks. Townsfolk pass, their eyes sliding away, heavy with fear or indifference. The girl's breath is shallow, but her gaze burns, unyielding, a coal refusing to die. A man stops. His boots grind into the dirt, halting as if the earth itself has snagged him. His eyes, gray as river stones worn smooth by a dead stream, fix on her. He is a shadow in a duster coat, shoulders bowed under an invisible weight. The crowd flows around him, a river parting at a boulder. He doesn't move. His fingers twitch, brushing the hilt of a knife at his belt. The girl's eyes meet his, not pleading, but daring. A spark in the silence. He steps closer. The rope creaks. The wind holds its breath. He was a soldier once, though the war is long gone, its echoes carved into his hands. They tremble now, not from cold, but from memory. A girl's face flickers in his mind, her laughter swallowed by a grave. His daughter, taken by fever, her small body cold as the Wyoming frost. He sees her in the girl's bloodied hair, in the defiance of her jaw. The pain is a blade, twisting in his chest, sharp as the day he buried her. He has walked alone since, a man hollowed out, his heart a dry well. Yet here he stands, tethered to this stranger by a ghost. The townsfolk mutter. A woman spits into the dust. He doesn't hear them. His knife flashes, a silver arc in the dawn. The rope parts. The girl falls, a crumpled bird, and he catches her before she hits the earth. Her weight is light, fragile as a sparrow, but her pulse hammers against his arm. He carries her through the street, past eyes that narrow and tongues that hiss. The wind follows, kicking up grit as if urging him on. He doesn't look back. Beyond the town, the land sprawls wild, a canvas of sagebrush and stone. The mountains loom, their peaks jagged as broken teeth. He walks, the girl in his arms, toward a place where the world quiets. Whisper. Ridge, he calls it, a name unspoken but known in his bones. A cabin waits there, half swallowed by pines, its walls weathered as his own skin. The air smells of resin and earth, heavy with the promise of storm. He lays her on a cot, her breath a faint rhythm against the silence. A cloth, damp with creek water, presses against her forehead. His hands move slow, deliberate, as if each motion is a prayer. She stirs, her eyes flickering open, dark as the heart of a canyon. No words pass between them. The fire in the hearth snaps, a small defiance against the cold. Outside, the wind howls, a voice older than either of them. The ridge watches, its pines swaying like mourners. He sits by the window, his rifle across his lap, staring into the dusk. The girl's breathing steadies, a fragile thread tying her to the world. His past coils in his chest, a snake waiting to strike. He doesn't know her name. He doesn't ask. The silence between them is enough, heavy with things unsaid, like the land itself, vast and unyielding. A hawk screams, its cry slicing the dusk like a blade through cloth. The man trudges through sagebrush, the girl limp in his arms, her breath a faint mist in the cooling air. The town fades behind them, its wooden bones swallowed by the vastness of the plain. The mountains stand sentinel, their shadows pooling like ink. He moves steady, boots crunching on frost-kissed earth, each step a vow against the world's cruelty. The wind whispers secrets, tugging at his coat, urging him deeper into the wild. Whisper Ridge rises ahead, a scar of pines and stone cradling his cabin. The air bites, sharp with the scent of resin and coming snow. He lays the girl on a cot, her body small against the rough wool blanket. A creek runs nearby, its murmur a low hymn under the night's weight. He dips a cloth in its icy flow, presses it to her brow. Her skin is fever hot, her eyes shut tight, as if guarding a storm within. He works in silence, cleaning blood from her hair, each stroke careful, like mending a broken wing. The fire in the hearth spits, casting shadows that dance like ghosts on the walls. Outside, the ridge breathes, its pines swaying, watching. She wakes at dawn, her eyes dark as obsidian, cutting through the dim. No words. She sits up, slow, her fingers tracing the sign still tied to her neck. Witch. Thief. Her jaw tightens, a flint struck but unlit. He offers a tin cup, water trembling at its rim. She takes it, drinks, her gaze never leaving him. The silence is heavy, a shared weight, like stones piled on a grave. He turns away, busies himself with the fire, but her presence pulls at him, a tide he cannot name. Days pass. The girl, Apache, speaks her name in a voice soft as ash. Takana. It falls between them, like a leaf on still water. She tells of herbs left for a sick child, a gift twisted into accusation by fearful tongues. Her words are few, each one a stone dropped into the quiet. He listens, his hand still, the firelight carving lines deeper into his face. He speaks too, voice rough as gravel, a soldier's confession, an Apache girl, no older than his daughter, caught in crossfire. Her blood on his hands, a stain no river can wash. The memory is a wolf, gnawing at his ribs. Takana's eyes hold his, not with forgiveness, but with something fiercer. Understanding. They move through the cabin like shadows, each action a fragile bridge. He leaves a blanket by her cot at night, wordless. She grinds herbs by the window, her fingers steady, reclaiming what the town tried to take. The ridge watches, its silence louder than words. A deer pauses at the creek, its antlers catching the moon's pale glow. The wind carries a warning, sharp as a blade's edge. Hoofbeats in the distance, faint but growing. He checks his rifle, his fingers brushing the worn stock. Takana's hand stills over her herbs, her breath catching like smoke trapped in a jar. The land around them hums with life and threat. Sagebrush rustles, a chorus of whispers. The mountains loom, their peaks clawing at the sky. He stands at the door, eyes scanning the horizon, where dust rises like a ghost woken from sleep. Takana joins him, her shadow merging with his. No words pass, but their silence speaks. They are bound, not by blood, but by wounds unhealed. The ridge holds them close, its pines a barricade against the world. The hawk circles above, its cry a promise of what's to come. A crow's caw cracks the dawn, sharp as a rifle shot. Dust curls on the horizon, a serpent waking from slumber. The man stands at the cabin's threshold, his gray eyes scanning the ridge where pines lean like mourners in a storm. The air tastes of iron, heavy with the threat of blood. Whisper Ridge hums, its stones and shadows holding their breath. The girl, Takana, kneels by the creek, her hands grinding herbs, but her gaze lifts, sharp as a blade's edge, toward the distant haze. A wanted poster flutters into their world, nailed to a pine by a passing rider. His face, etched in crude ink, stares back. Murderer, harborer of witches. Her name beneath, a curse scrawled in haste. The paper trembles in the wind, fragile as a lie, but its weight presses against them both. He tears it down, crumples it in his fist. The act is small, deliberate, like snapping a bone to set it right. Takana watches, her fingers still, herbs forgotten. No words pass. The silence is a pact, forged in the fire of shared defiance. They fortify the ridge. He drags logs to bar the path, his hands calloused, moving with a soldier's precision. Each thud of wood against earth is a heartbeat, steady, unyielding. Takana weaves snares from willow branches, her fingers swift, as if threading a spell. The creek murmurs, its waters catching the sun's dying light, reflecting their work in ripples. The mountains stand guard, their peaks jagged as truths too sharp to speak. He oils his rifle, the cloth gliding slow, a ritual of waiting. She sharpens a knife, its edge glinting like her eyes. The ridge becomes their fortress, its silence a shield. Night falls, and hoofbeats grow louder, a drumroll of fate. Torches flicker in the distance, fireflies born of rage. He stands at the cabin's door, rifle in hand, his shadow long and lean as a wolf's. Takana steps beside him, her breath a faint cloud in the cold. The mob arrives, led by a marshal with a badge, dull as his heart. His voice cuts through the night, accusing, demanding surrender. The man's grip tightens, his knuckles white as bone. Takana's hand brushes his arm, a fleeting touch, like rain on parched earth. It steadies him. He steps forward, alone, into the torchlight. His voice is low, graveled, each word a stone dropped into still water. He speaks of the girl's herbs, her healing, the town's blindness. The mob shifts, uneasy, their torches wavering like doubts. A woman's voice rises, soft, trembling, a memory of Takana's kindness, a fever broken, a child saved. Others murmur, their anger cracking like dry wood. The marshal's eyes narrow, but the crowd's heart wavers. Takana stands behind, her silhouette framed by the cabin's glow. The sign, witch, thief, still around her neck, now a badge of survival. The mob disperses, torches fading into the dark, like stars swallowed by dawn. The marshal rides off, his threats empty as the wind. The ridge exhales, its pines swaying, whispering of reprieve. He turns to Takana, their eyes meeting in the quiet. No words, only the weight of what they've done. His hand rests on the doorframe, hers on the knife at her belt. The creek sings, a soft hymn of endurance. The mountains watch, their shadows pooling deep, holding the promise of a new dawn. The sun breaks over the ridge, its light spilling like molten gold across the frost. Whisper. Ridge hums, alive, its pines trembling, as if shaking off a long sleep. The man stands at the creek's edge, his hands empty, the rifle left behind. The girl, Takana, kneels nearby, her fingers sifting through earth, planting seeds of sage and yarrow. The air is sharp, scented with promise, but the wind carries a memory of dust and torches. The mountains watch, their peaks softened by dawn, as if nodding to a new beginning. The cabin grows, its walls stretching to meet new hands. Strangers arrive, drawn by whispers of refuge, men with scars, women with haunted eyes, children clutching hope like tattered cloth. The man builds tables from felled pines. His hammer strikes steady, each nail a vow to endure. Takana mixes herbs, her hands steady as stone, brewing salves that soothe burns and mend spirits. The ridge transforms, no longer a hideout, but a hearth. They call it Circle Station, a name unspoken, but carved into the earth by their steps. The creek sings louder, its waters weaving through new paths, mirroring the lives entwined here. He watches her work, her movements sure, like a river finding its course. The sign, witch. Thief, hangs on the cabin wall, its edges frayed but unbroken. She touches it sometimes, her fingers lingering, not in shame, but in defiance. It is her shield, her story, a scar worn with pride. He sees his daughter in her shadow, but the pain no longer bites. It sits quiet in his chest, a stone smoothed by time. He carves a wooden bird, small and delicate, and leaves it by her cot. She doesn't speak of it, but it rests in her palm at night, a silent bridge between them. The community grows, a patchwork of souls. A blacksmith hammers iron, his sparks flying like stars. A woman weaves blankets, her loom humming a soft rhythm. Children chase each other through the sagebrush, their laughter a melody the ridge has never known. The man shares his fire, his food, his silence. Takana teaches healing, her voice low, guiding hands to find the pulse of plants. The mountains stand guard, their shadows a blanket over the valley. The wind carries no threats now, only the scent of pine and possibility. Years pass. His hair grays, his hands slower but no less steady. Takana's eyes still burn, dark as the heart of the earth, but softer now, warmed by purpose. Circle Station thrives, a beacon in the wild, its light reaching beyond the ridge. The man sits by the creek at dusk, his boots sunk in the earth, the weight of his past, a faint echo. Takana joins him, her knife tucked away, her hands smelling of sage. They sit in silence, the kind that speaks louder than words, their shadows merging with the land. The sign remains, a relic of survival, hung above the door, where all can see. It tells of a girl who hung upside down, blood in her hair, and a man who cut her free. It speaks of a ridge that became a home, of wounds that became roots. The creek murmurs carrying their story downstream. The mountains hold it close, their peaks etched against the sky, eternal as courage. He is no longer haunted. She is no longer hunted. Together they have built something stronger than stone, deeper than sorrow, a legacy of resilience, written in the quiet of their hands.